There's two aspects of nutrition which are hugely important. There's an athlete's holistic nutrition, which is kind of what you eat on a day-by-day basis. And then secondly, there's the nutrition around making sure that your body is able to perform at its very best when you do actually compete and when you're training as well.
We essentially look at food via two ways: macronutrients, which are our proteins, our fats and our carbohydrates, and micronutrients, which are made up of our vitamins and minerals. Protein's important because all our structures in our body, our muscle tissue structures, are made up of amino acids essentially. You need those amino acids, the basic building blocks of protein, to maintain that replenishment and rebuilding. Most of our brain tissue is fat. Fats are essential in most joints and in the general upkeep of our immune system. Carbohydrate is one of the other three macronutrients that make up the basis of all our diets. Carbohydrates can vary from vegetables to fruit, bread, rice, pasta, and right up to cakes and sweets.
They're very much termed like high and low glycemic index, and what that means is your body's ability to be able to cope with that carbohydrate input and what kind of carbohydrate it is.
For athletes, it's a very important area for them to understand. If they're not utilised, they will turn to fat.
Make sure my body's powered by good food, different varieties of food, you know, not keeping on the same things. So I double up on vitamin C's and zinc and vitamin D because we don't get a lot of sun. There are certain foods that help me. Beetroot for endurance, stamina, opens the oxygen levels in the red blood cells so you can get that performance out at a higher level. But even things not frying chicken, boiling the chicken instead of frying it, you know, just little things like that. I use carbs more because of the amount of mileage I do on the road.
So basically in the morning I'd have scrambled egg and beans. You've got obviously the protein there, you've got a bit of energy, so I can go into a training session and be confident that I'll sustain enough throughout the session. I would have my main meal at lunch, whether that's chicken and pasta, chicken and rice, got your meat for the protein, and then obviously I'd have another training session in the afternoon. In the evening I tend to have a smaller meal. If you're eating late at night, it sits on you, you're not using that energy up. So that's how I found it was best for me to train. So in the evenings I'd have soup, salad, make sure that I've got some protein to allow my body to recover overnight, ready for the next session.
Generally, athletes require slightly higher levels of protein intake than the normal population, but the degree of that intake varies depending upon the type of activity you're undertaking.
On an average training day, I eat quite a lot. You know, I might have done 5, 6, 7 hours of training, so that's quite a lot of calories you go through and quite a lot of nutrition you need to replace that. I swim at 7 o'clock in the morning, so I tend to maybe grab a snack on the way there, an energy bar or whatever, and then have a good breakfast when I get back, which might be porridge, cereal, toast, simple things. And at the end of the day, especially if I've done a hard session, I'll always have a recovery drink, normally a kind of a milk-based drink.
The most important thing is to say straight away is every person's individual, so everyone will have their own balanced diet based on them as an individual. If you're kicking off at 3 o'clock, they're probably taking on quite a lot of carbohydrates sort of mid-morning, so stuff you wouldn't normally eat. People are eating sort of bowls of spaghetti, you know, beans and stuff like that, maybe 10, 11 o'clock, you know, but also just the right amount. You're not there to fill your body, you're there just to put a certain amount into your body. And it really is not seeing food as food, you're just seeing it as fuel. You know, this is like putting petrol in your engine.
In a game of rugby, players can lose between 3 and 6 kilos of mass during a match, and that is purely fluid. So the hydration strategy immediately following a match and in the 72 hours post-match becomes essential in preparing for the next training session or preparing for the next match. One of the foundation blocks of athletic preparation and recovery is hydration. If somebody's dehydrated, we lose 20% cognitive function, then we're in trouble. We've seen in our athletes increased risk of soft tissue injury, which means one of our athletes will be out for potentially between 3 and 6 weeks, but also a decrease in performance.
When you finish competing, that first 10 minutes is so important because you are exhausted, you've taken all the energy out of your body, you can get some energy in very, very quickly. And this is normally liquids. You can't eat really because you're too tired. So that fluid you put into your body, but it's a fluid that's specific for your body.
Nutrition, it's a big factor in performance, getting across that line.